Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch, our show following all the news and rumors on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. I'm Daemon Hatfield, and as always, I am joined from our San Francisco office, Ryan McCaffrey, host of IGN's Xbox podcast, Podcast Unlocked.
Hey Damon, remember when this show was called Next Gen Console Watch 2020? It's now 2022.
I do remember that, and what an innocent time that seems like now.
It was.
And Jonathon Dornbush, host of IGN's PlayStation podcast, Podcast Beyond.
Beyond, I'm personally just finally excited to play a PS5 sometime in the future. Still watching for that moment.
Keep watching it. We'll keep watching it right here on this show. This week, we are right on the cusp of event season. E3 is not happening, of course, but that will not stop video game companies from announcing new games over the next few months. Lots of exciting stuff on the horizon. So we're going to be making some predictions about what we can expect over the next few weeks and months. Of course, IGN has its own Summer of Gaming event, which lasts all through June. The big one that we know about right now is the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, which is going to be on Sunday, June 12th. Now, Ryan, after a real banger of a year last year for Xbox, it's been very quiet on the Xbox front in 2022 so far. They recently delayed Starfield and Redfall into 2023, leaving Xbox with no first-party games, with the release date as of right now, as of this taping. So, Ryan, what are you expecting Sunday, June 12th from Xbox and Bethesda?
Well, Damon, the news got worse this week when replaced an extraordinarily promising console-exclusive indie title, Cyberpunk pixel art game, that got pushed as well into next year. So it's, for very, very good reason in that case. Those developers are directly affected by the war in Ukraine, so we wish them the best. The video game is not important compared to their safety. But yes, we do have the showcase, and I kind of want to focus on the things that I think are most likely to see. We're going to get surprise announcements, things we can't possibly predict. We know that. Those are going to be fun. But I do want to zero in on the stuff that I think is highly likely, and I'll kind of go in order from near guaranteed, and then we'll just go down to probable and likely and maybe. But we're seeing Starfield. Despite the delay, there's no doubt this is the time. We are going to get a gameplay demonstration of that game. I will eat the show notes. I will print them out and eat them if we do not see Starfield at this event. And the same goes for Redfall. I mean, that one, it is, we've never seen the game. We just had that fantastic cinematic announcement trailer 1 year ago, so it does seem like that's going to be something we see, especially because it is still highly, highly likely that both Starfield and Redfall will be out by the time the Xbox showcase comes around again in 2023, since they're both now scheduled for the first half of 2023. So those two seem like near locks. I think Hellblade 2 is highly likely as well. Mm-hmm. We did get a demonstration of that at the Game Awards. It looked great. That is now, if it wasn't fully transitioned over to Unreal Engine 5 when we last saw it 6 months ago, it probably is now. Don't forget about Scorn. Talking about Xbox games, exclusives that will be out this year. At least as of now, we have a month for that, not a day. It's due out in spooky season in October. A first-person, very disgusting body horror, scary game. So that was announced back in 2020 alongside the console itself at the original third-party showcase. Should be time to see that. How about Indiana Jones, Damon? It's time. We only got a cinematic teaser of that well over a year ago. Machine Games has had quite some time to work on this since the last Wolfenstein project shipped, so I think this is the time for Indiana Jones. And then we get down into the maybes. Forza Motorsport, the next-gen reboot of the simulation closed-circuit racing side of Forza, that has been neither seen nor heard from since 2020 and its original announcement. That seems likely, too. Damon, a game I know is going to be close to your heart as it is mine.
Oh, yeah.
Somerville from the former developers at Playdead, makers of Limbo and Inside. This game appears to be very much in that same kind of vein. I cannot wait for this, but this is one, Damon, where I think you can agree. I actually don't want to see any more of it. The less, it's like Inside, really? The less you know, the better.
Sure.
Just go in as blind as possible. We've already had a trailer, but my hope is that maybe we'll get a new trailer with a release date on it. And what would really make me happy is if it were just out that day, like out on June 12th. Let's make it happen. That's probably a little pie in the sky. But then just to work my way down the list, Don't forget about Contraband, that third-party exclusive from Avalanche. That has not been, we got nothing on that since its original reveal. id Software is maybe time to reveal their game, their next project after Doom Eternal. They've had both their DLCs. The story of Doom Guy as we know it for now is done. Is this going to be a Quake reboot? Are they going to do for Quake? Are they going to reinvent that the way they reinvented Doom? I would love to see it, but it's, I think maybe, but that one could be one more year, but I think there's a good chance we see it this year. Don't forget about Everwild, State of Decay 3, maybe one of inXile's 2 new Unreal Engine 5 role-playing games could get some sort of just light cinematic teaser, and the Fable still seems pretty far out there, as do Perfect Dark, which we've talked about that they seem to be in a bit of a development difficulty, tough stretch right now for them. And then Outer Worlds 2 also seems pretty far out on the horizon. And even Avowed seems like a wild card for this event. I mean, would we get Starfield gameplay and Avowed gameplay at the same event, like two, first-person, large-scale role-playing games? Never say never, but it kind of feels like maybe we'll stagger those. So we'll see. But either way, Xbox will have plenty of games to fill their showcase, whether it's 60 minutes, whether it's the 90 minutes it often is. It's just a question of, are any of them coming out this year?
Yeah, that is the big question in my mind. Like you said, that's a lot of games right there, and that's just the known quantities. That doesn't even consider the inevitable surprise announcements that we'll be getting. But Microsoft needs some release dates. And they can't go a full calendar year without releasing a first-party exclusive, I don't think. I would expect release dates for both Scorn and Hellblade 2 at the very least.
Right.
Those are both still planned for this year. Scorn has a release month. Put a date on it. And then Hellblade 2 has been in development and it has been announced for a long time. I would hope it's about time to bring that one home.
I mean, Xbox, Daemon, has lost 3. They've had 3 major 2022 exclusives and a fourth smaller one bumped out of the year. I mean, it's Starfield.
Stalker 2 was the other one.
Yeah, Stalker 2, thank you. And then what I just mentioned at the top there, replaced. I mean, that's tough to lose. You think, you go into a year, you probably think, well, maybe 2 of those push out. Just the realities of game development. But to lose all 4 just, leaves you with a smoldering crater of content for the year, which hopefully this showcase is going to be able to fill in.
But then, Ryan, I'm not sure I heard you mention my personal, most anticipated Xbox game, Perfect Dark.
Well, yeah, it's.
And here's why.
For loyal viewers, know we've covered this one, and there was widespread, there was concrete reports that game is going through some serious development upheaval. A lot of team members leaving. That one seems like it's just going to need to probably stay quiet and restock the team, and I bet it's going to be a while before we hear from that one again. I'd be surprised if we saw it, Damon.
It would be a pleasant surprise.
It would.
Now, Jonathan, as of this taping, Sony does not have a state of play announced for June yet. However, it's entirely possible that they could choose to surprise us one. We are hearing a lot of rumors about a possible state of play that's not too far off. So, Jonathan, what's your big prediction for Sony should it surprise us with a new state of play?
Well, yeah, I mean, the interesting thing with Sony and State of Play is in sort of their last couple years of showcases is that they've kind of been playing at their own tempo. They don't really feel like they need to be at the big timed showcases. So we might get something in June. We could see things in July. They've used July before for State of Plays. My thing right now that I would say for PlayStation players, and I'd be happy to be proven wrong with this, I don't think we're going to get a big showcase in June from PlayStation. And the wording there is very specific because PlayStation right now, it seems, and obviously they could change this whenever they want, but PlayStation showcases seem to be when we get a bunch of new reveals of big exclusives and of first-party games, like the showcase we had last September, which is where we got Spider-Man, Wolverine, KOTOR all in one show. The first God of War gameplay was there. That's where they like to do them. State of Plays have come to mean 12 different things. And so, I think we could see a state of play in June, but unless they announce that it is built around God of War Ragnarok or built around Forspoken or another exclusive like that, I would say to sort of temper expectations for a state of play to be more third-party some exclusive stuff, a lot of good indies, multi-platform things of that nature. They've done May and June and July sort of window state of plays before, and we've gotten big stuff like the first year they started doing state of plays, I believe they did the first re-reveal of FF7 Remake gameplay was at one of the state of plays. So you can get something as big as that there. You can also get the 5th Deathloop trailer in a year.
Yeah.
As great as that game turned out to be, it can really depend on the hype cycle and the life cycle of the games that are in development. So if we get it, long story short, if we get a state of play in June in the coming weeks, I think it's going to be something that is either built around a single game or is tethered to a larger game and then fleshes out more with some cool indies that we're going to see. Obviously stuff like Little Devil Inside, Stray, and a few others are set for PlayStation in 2022. I wouldn't be surprised if we see stuff like there. We may also see third-party stuff. I mentioned Forspoken. That's a big one that we know is coming later this year. That has been at a lot of state of plays and sort of is getting the same Deathloop syndrome where I think a lot of PlayStation players are like, we've seen enough, we just want to play. But if it got a, 5 or 6 minute deep dive, it might go over a little bit better than just another minute and a half hype trailer. Things like that, I think we could expect to see. I think if you're hoping for a state of play to be around God of War Ragnarok, which is obviously the big 2022 piece of the puzzle that we're missing, you really are going to have to either wait for a showcase or wait for them to say, this is the God of War state of play. They did a Horizon Forbidden West state of play, they did a Gran Turismo 7 state of play. They're going to do a God of War set piece state of play, I think. They may tack it on to some other stuff to get attention, but unless they say God of War will be there, I wouldn't bet it would be there for players. But there's still a lot to look forward to.
There is a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure God of War needs another big showcase. It had a big showing last summer at their September State of Play. I think most people are sold on that game. They don't really need to get people on board with it, but I think they need to let people know whether or not it's coming this year.
No, I think for me, I know how excited people are. I'm one of those people. The 2018 game I reviewed and gave it a 10. I loved it, certainly. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I don't want to see more of it. I do just want to play that game. I am sure we will get more because that is just the necessities of how marketing work these days. But I think God of War, in a state of play or a state of play built around it, just needs to be a few more minutes of tease, maybe some hint at what one of the new gameplay facets or exploration pieces will be, and then here's the release date, here's the special edition, here's what we're getting, and leave it at that. And I'm sure we'll get some more, but that is really all I need. But sorry.
Do you think, Jonathan, that God of War has such a pull that if Sony has a showcase date in mind for a larger show, and God of War isn't quite ready to show at it, do you think they push the whole showcase until it is, or do you think that they proceed on with the showcase and show whatever else they've got and then do that separate state of play focused specifically on God of War?
I mean, I think you can get people to tune into God of War on its own, and especially with what we know of Sony, and this is my hope for when we do get a showcase. My bet would be August, September region, because the last couple years we've gotten a September showcase for them. I think that's when you see a little more of Spider-Man 2 or a little more of Wolverine or KOTOR or whatever their other studios are working on that we really don't know. In a way, we do know so many of the Xbox studios and what they're working on. The PlayStation studios, we know Naughty Dog is working on a multiplayer game. We know the Concrete Genie devs, Pixel Opus, are working on a game with Sony Animation. We know Guerrilla might have another team in the works. We know London Studios working on a game, but we don't know any details. They're a really wide open group of studios right now. And so we could hear a lot. And it's certainly possible that they anchor a state of play around a game or a showcase around a game. Before The Last of Us Part 2, they anchored a showcase around a state of play around The Last of Us Part 2. And I realize I'm basically using words that should be used interchangeably, but actually mean different things. But that's just kind of where we're at with Sony. And of course, another big part of the puzzle is PSVR 2. We have no idea where PSVR 2 is going to be shown. If it's going to, I assume that would kind of be its own state of play or its own showcase to a certain extent. Sony has gotten some blowback from players who don't care about VR of how that stuff gets marketed. So I think they have to be very clear when they show PSVR 2, you expect PSVR 2. But that's a long-winded way to say, I think there will probably be a state of play in the next month or two because usually they do one in May and we didn't get one. But I would, unless they announce it, I would temper your expectations for first-party stuff there.
There's still, 3 days left in May when this video goes live?
You never know, yeah.
It could be a Memorial Day miracle. Jonathan, if they give God of War Ragnarok a release date, will it be before January 1st, 2023?
I think so. I
Okay.
would, I really hope I'm not proven wrong, but I am optimistically looking at a September-ish timeline, in my opinion. Based on where we're at, based on where Spider-Man succeeded so well for Sony in September, and based on how they typically don't really do a lot of fall stuff, I think that is a good window for such a big game like that to really be the opening of the fall season in particular.
So we know God of War is the next big first-party game from Sony. Of the stuff that we know about, Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, what do you think's the next thing coming after God of War? Because I think that might be something that we could get a gameplay demo of, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we could see if they announce, you'll see a new project from a studio, you'll see a new project that showcases. I think it's probably, I hope Spider-Man 2 is still on track for 2023. My guess is we get something else that we don't quite know about. I forgot to mention third-party wise, Final Fantasy 16 is also a big piece that we're all wondering. We know to expect a trailer coming. Some of the producers have said expect more soon. That could easily tie together a state of play and really a big reveal. But yeah, there are so many studios to pick from. It's kind of just like who's ready for something. I think we are most likely going to see something from Naughty Dog sooner than later because they have been working on that multiplayer project now for a few years. That could certainly be something we see early 2023, if not later this year, but that early next year is sort of my hope. We could also see something from, I mentioned Guerrilla, we believe, has another team working on things due to job listings and stuff like that. We could see what they're working on. A big one I would like to hope for, it may be tied to PSVR 2, Team Asobi, the Astro's Playroom devs. It's been now a couple years since Astro's Playroom, Astrobot Rescue Mission was 2018. I have no doubt that they are working on an Astrobot game, mostly because Astrobot is in their logo for the studio. So that's what they're kind of doing. But I've got to assume we will see a new Astrobot game by the time we do this prediction show next year. I think whether it's VR or whether it's a PS5 game or both, I think that is one we could potentially see soon.
What about Bungie? They just paid a fortune for them,
They
right?
did.
You got to trot out the new cars. Check out the new car I bought.
So the deal, I think, is supposed to close in Q3, is sort of what they're projecting. So for now, I think Destiny 2 hype cycle continues. It seems like things are going really well with the Witch Queen expansion and the new seasons that have come since then. But yeah, we do know Bungie, has other teams working on things. We know they're incubating other ideas. That certainly is a good place to show one of those games, even if the deal is not firmly set that they are owned by Sony. Depending on, I could see them giving them showcase placement though for a brand new sort of Bungie game. But yeah, even if it's multi-platform, which I think we're expecting for now. But yeah, that is also another good one, and not to mention Haven, the Jade Raymond studio. They've been now working in partnership with Sony for over a year. I think we could easily see, even if it's just a teaser trailer, I think we will easily see that within the next 6 months as well. Yeah.
Okay, so that's Xbox and PlayStation. Of course, there are all the third-party announcements that are incoming. There is the Summer Game Fest event that takes place Thursday, June 9th. You can, of course, watch that on IGN. And we know who the partners are for this event, so that sort of gives us an idea of what to expect. We know that Deep Silver is the partner, so that could mean Saints Row. Saints Row is coming in August. Ryan, we just put up a preview for that was pretty positive, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, it's the reaction to this from the gaming public was not a good one. It was right
to
before
the reveal last year, right?
Yeah, before YouTube took away the downvotes, and it was not pretty on IGN's channel and on pretty much any channel that I took a look at. But yeah, it's we just got a new big hands-off look at it. We haven't played it yet, to be fair, but it showed very, very well. Simon Cardy out of our UK team got an extended look at it, and you can watch the video preview on IGN or on our YouTube channel, and it just looks like they really did dial in to the fun. It's like Simon suggested that it's kind of floats between 2 and 3 in terms of the tone. I'm a 3 guy. I know there are a lot of Saints Row 2 people out there. Damon, I think you're a 3 guy, right?
I'm a 3.
Yeah.
Proud 3 over here.
Yeah, hashtag team Saints Row 3. But yeah, so that's there's a lot more optimism now for the rebooted Saints Row heading into these last couple months of before it releases. Yeah.
Warner Brothers is a partner. That could mean Gotham Knights, because we have a release date for that coming in October. But what do you think? Too early for more Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, Jonathan?
I think probably at this point, all eyes kind of need to be on Gotham Knights. I do think, as we had talked about a couple weeks ago, the gameplay reveal I think went over so-so for a lot of people. So I do think they need to really focus home on that one. There will probably be plenty of time to give Suicide Squad the time it needs. And I think we've seen the success of just those couple trailers. They have no problem getting eyeballs on it. So I wouldn't be shocked if that comes, maybe a Game Awards trailer at the end of the year or something early next year. But yeah, I think Gotham Knights and WB does have Hogwarts Legacy as well. So that's kind of their two main focuses right now, I think, before they go on to anything further.
2K as a partner. 2K has Marvel's Midnight Suns, which was supposed to be already out this year, got delayed to the latter half of 2022. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see, I think people need sort of a refresher that Marvel Midnight Suns, the XCOM-ish Marvel game, is still coming this year. But Ryan, for a long time, we've known this for what seems like forever now, 2K's working on another BioShock. When are we going to see this game?
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, it's... I appreciate that they're taking a long time. They're not just trying to throw together something to let's get this IP back in the public spotlight. So they're taking their sweet time building a team from scratch to make this game. BioShock was always on Unreal Engine, but that was Irrational, totally different developer, so who knows what the new team will do. 2K doesn't, to my knowledge, have its own proprietary in-house gaming engine, so I would be thrilled if, based on what we've seen from Unreal Engine 5, if they end up going with Unreal Engine 5 for a new BioShock, regardless of where it's set. But yeah, I mean, it's a long time in the making, but I hope that when we do see it, since it's already been many years, I hope that when we finally do see it, it's not still 3 years out. Hopefully it's going to be a situation where we've all known this is coming. When they finally do choose to show it, I don't think it's going to be this year for what it's worth, which I know it's just me sitting in a chair guessing, but but yeah, I hope that the wait is short from when the announcement actually happens.
I agree. BioShock, the original, is one of my favorite games of all time, and I don't want a 4-year slow drip cycle for this new one. I think, as you said, we've known for a couple years now. I did a early interview with Cloud Chamber when it first was revealed, is we're working on this, and it's been silent since. I don't need a teaser trailer 2026, I'd rather they wait till a year before to do that at this point.
I actually have a prediction of my own. Jonathan, I don't know if you noticed, but PlayStation is listed as a partner for Summer Game Fest. What could that mean? Any of the big first-party games that we were just talking about a few minutes ago, I can't imagine they'd want to have that on Summer Game Fest. I think they want to have that at their own State of Play event. My prediction, Summer Game Fest is put on by Jeff Keighley, who has a well-documented bromance with Hideo Kojima. Norman Reedus recently mentioned that they're working on the follow-up to Death Stranding, so I think it's entirely possible we could get just sort of an announcement teaser trailer for Death Stranding 2. What do you think?
I had no idea Jeff and Kojima were sort of a thing.
That's true.
I've missed that. No, I absolutely think you're right in terms of possible placement for that one. Last year at Summer Games Fest, to my remembrance, it was either there or Gamescom. I forget exactly where it happened, but Death Stranding Director's Cut and then a couple indies like Salt and Sacrifice were PlayStation's present there. I think Shuhei Yoshida came out during a video to talk about some indie stuff, so we could see things like that, but I do think in terms of a big player, you're right, Death Stranding 2 probably makes the most sense for that stage. And yeah, since Norman said it was coming, and apparently it's a long way from Miss Pac-Man, hopefully, that one is one I would genuinely like to see. I think Death Stranding is a very unique and flawed game, but one that I think also has a lot of highs to it that I particularly loved. It's one of those games where it's hard to talk about without either someone being hyperbolic, hating, or loving it. But I do think there are things that worked really well and things that didn't. And I do think I would love to see what a second crack at that world would be.
Ryan, Epic Games is a partner for Summer Game Fest.
Yeah.
Epic Games is publishing Alan Wake 2.
They are. That we know that's a 2023 game, but I'll just throw a curveball at you here, Damon. I mean, Jeff is pretty good at pulling out a good surprise from his hat every now and again. The Epic game that I'd like to see announced is Shadow Complex 2 from Donald Mustard and the team at Share. And literally every time I see Donald at an event, and the last time I saw him was at the Game Awards after party last December, I bring it up every time. Where is it? What's going on? And he wants to make that game. So whether it's actually happening, obviously Fortnite is a billion times more profitable than Shadow Complex 2 could be on its best day, but you could also look at it as well. Fortnite can exist. Yeah, can just allow Shadow Complex 2 to exist, and nobody's getting laid off, nobody's going hungry. So that's what I want to see, is the return of one of the best modern Metroidvanias. If you've never played it, from an Xbox 360, Shadow Complex is a tremendous video game.
I loved it so much when it came out because of the IGN coverage that I was reading at the time, and I would love a sequel to that. You probably will see it more as a Fortnite creators space, where they create it inside Fortnite at this point.
I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, no,
really.
I mean, I play Fortnite every day, so if there's a Battle Pass reveal there, a new season starts a couple days before, that probably is also a possible thing there.
All right, we're starting to run long. Just a couple more I want to mention. Devolver usually has something to show at Summer Game Fest. Devolver, Ryan, is publishing Return to Monkey Island.
They are, and
which is supposed to come this year.
Yeah, Ron Gilbert's been tweeting a bunch about just vague updates on the progress of the game, talking about bug counts, and that he tweeted, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he can see the light at the end of the tunnel now. We've only had the teaser trailer, which didn't even show Guybrush and what he looks like in this game with the new art style. So, yeah, I would be thrilled. I would be over the moon if we got a proper Monkey Island, Return to Monkey Island trailer, ideally with a release date at the end of it. That would be fantastic.
We've seen a lot of TMNT Shredder's Revenge at this point. It's still supposed to be coming this year. I think we're due for a release date. And then finally, Bandai Namco is a partner for Summer Game Fest. I think it's possible we could get Elden Ring DLC at least announced. I believe it was Dark Souls 2 DLC arrived just 4 months after its release, so it's possible. It's possible. In any case, all these big announcements that are coming up in the near future, you'll be able to watch them all at IGN.com as part of our Summer of Gaming coverage. Before we go, we have the results of last week's poll. The poll was, what Take-Two remake or remaster do you want to see? The winner was Bully with 34%. Just barely beating Red Dead Revolver and Redemption. But then way down the bottom of the list, Top Spin. So sorry, tennis fans. Not a lot of desire for that out there. New poll for you to vote on next week. Which of these rumored games would you like to see officially announced this summer? Death Stranding 2. There's actually a couple on here we didn't even get to. The Last of Us remake, the Resident Evil 4 remake, which is rumored. Make sure to vote at IGN.com, and we'll share the results with you next episode. And that's going to do it for this edition of Next Gen Console Watch. Thank you to both Ryan and Jonathan. Thank you to everyone working behind the scenes to make this episode possible. My name is Damon. We'll be back next Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, with more PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news. We'll see you then.